there are women that have led before you, us, however you want to say it. Do you think they have created the opportunity of trust to allow someone like yourself to rock up and host one of the biggest games of all time?
Yeah, because, okay, so radio, for that particular show, they hadn't had a girl anchoring it before. And there was a lot made of that when I got that job. But the whole reason I could get there is because all that work was done. Like, all of the really hard work was done. And like, if you read Gabby Logan's book, like, some of the environments that she had to work in are just horrendous. I don't know how I'd fare in that kind of environment, actually, because I can't keep my mouth shut. Like, I'm very vocal, and I'm very, like, if I think something's wrong, I'll say it. But back in those days, it's not like no one wanted to hear that, I don't think. I think it would have been a really difficult environment to be that sort of person. Like, they didn't really have many whistleblowers back then, did they? Whereas today it's very different, and the landscape is much more level. So yeah, I look at what they did and what they went through, and I could never take any credit for being any sort of trailblazer. I just don't believe I am. Like, I think there's a younger generation where, like, what we do on social media is a little bit different to what the generation did before because they didn't have it. So I think there's definitely us lot in our generation. I think we 100% inspire younger boys and girls that are coming through because they can see us immediately.
See it,
yeah. And they almost see it more on social media than they do on the actual telly. So I get that, but I could never.
That's where the TV's changed, hey? Massively.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you look to or aspire to that you do try and emulate, or would you say your style is all
Like
you?
similar to? Oh.
Because I could definitely relate more to you in the sense that I'd be more off the cuff, bants. But when it's game on, it's game on.
Yeah. You have like different personalities, I think, sometimes, or not, different gears. And that's Fulham, by the way. That's Craven Cottage.
It looks quite nice, Craven Cottage, these days.
That's
I used to run this path.
Did you? And they were building that for what felt like an eternity. But
like a couple years.
The new stand, And on top of it is going to have like a big swimming pool and like a big, what do you call it?
I'm assuming you're going to get some sort of premium membership to that, in which
I
will invite myself
Can you come along
to the rooftop pool and the bar.
We can stumble back. Like, honestly, it's so great.
Perfect.
I've tried it. Like, I've tried to be other people and I can't do it. Like, there was a producer once that told me I was really terrible with this screen test that I did. And this producer said to me, like, his feedback was, go and watch the other presenters, see what they do and try and emulate it, basically. Okay, and I was like, what? And I just couldn't do it, of course.
You're like, I'm just going to be me
in
my vibe.
But you do definitely put on a voice that's not you at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, if I ever went back, I never would, but if I ever went back and watched some of like my early stuff, my voice would be completely different to how it is now. And you get to a point where it clicks and you go, now I can relax. Because it's hard. Like, it's really difficult to be natural in front of a camera, which is very unnatural.
How would you say you differ day to day from your on-screen to off-screen? Are you slightly more polished when the lights are on?
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant behind the scenes. I was like, no, I'm a slob. I'm an absolute slob. I think people would be kind of surprised at how scatty I am. Like, I'm really scatty. It's something that I'm really trying to work on. Like, I forget everything. I'm late to everything, apart from work.
I was going to say, apart from work. So you definitely don't have that representation within the industry.
No, it's like, once I get to work or once I go to work, that's the serious part of my life, and I will put everything into it. And I hate letting people down, and I only want to be as professional as I can. That can be like, because I've worked behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, that for me extends to all of it. It doesn't just extend to like, what am I doing in front of the camera? Like, I want to know what the edits are, and I want to know like how that fits in, and I want to send my ideas to the producer as well and say, can we do this? And the producers that I work with are great. They let me have a say if it's a good idea, obviously. They let me have a say on the show, and they incorporate my ideas, and I love that. But behind the scenes, like, as soon as I'm out of work, I don't know. I think if you listen to talkSPORT, maybe you'd probably not be surprised, because that's where you get to spend your time on air, talking a little bit about your life as well, which you never would on TV. You know, TV's like 3-minute sections. You're queuing someone up to get their opinion. Your opinion doesn't matter. Whereas on talkSPORT, you know, like, we could spend a section talking about our night out or something like that, and it was just accepted and it was great. So I think if you listen to talkSPORT, you'd probably understand that I'm that person. Like I'm very laid back, sometimes probably too laid back. That's why in my life, I think I probably need a little bit more structure.
And where do you think that structure will come from? Now you've got the time.
I need to find a way. I need to find a way of like getting discipline in my life. So how do I, like, you could teach me discipline.
But
like,
do you need discipline if you've already got discipline in your work? So that's the question. Then that's the balance sometimes.
I think I do, yeah, because I know what's good for me. So I know if I go to the gym 3 times a week, that will make me feel really good. And I know it will help me clear out the cupboard that I haven't looked at for about 5 years, or do the paperwork, do my receipts, which are late, by the way. And I've had to have an extension. And my accountant knew that would happen. He was like, look, you need to get them in by September. And I was like, of course I will.
Yeah.
And he called me up. He's like, I've got you an extension. And I was like, bless you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Because it's just something I can't do. So yeah, I need to find that.
Also, delegation, I think is very important.
Yeah.
So my nan does my invoicing. She's my PA.
Are you serious?
Yeah, brilliant.
How old is she?
She is 83.
Does she want to work for me too?
Maybe. I think it's going to go as far as just doing the invoices. I think the receipts will have to be dealt with, but we'll speak to Nanny Ott. We'll see what she can do.
I need it.
But I think delegation is something that I think is extremely hard to do when you're a perfectionist and everything you do is obsessive. But there becomes a point where actually you're better off siphoning everything out. So you've got that free time to actually just be, rather than be in a state of constantly doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to achieve anyway.
I agree with you, but it's funny because like being, like you say, being that perfectionist in your job means that if you get someone into work for you, I would be like, I don't think they're going to be able to like do it how I do it, or I don't think they're going to understand what that receipt is for and all that sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. That's the art of delegation, isn't it? Letting go a little bit and trusting somebody else.
Now, we are living in the day of social media. We touched on it earlier. And your Instagram is relatively free-spirited, which is really nice to see. And I think that makes you really, really relatable, because you are the consummate professional on air. And then there's this sort of beautifully rogue and slightly open side. And I think a lot of people connect with that. Has it ever caused you any problems? Because I'd say I'm sort of private. I kind of keep a little bit of that back, you know? What's the situ?
I am really private. Like if you looked at my Instagram, like someone said to me the other day, someone commented on my photo and said, you need to keep things private. And I was like, trust me, I do. Like I only show you what I'm comfortable showing you.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about my life. You don't know anything that's happening that I don't want you to see. And I like to keep it like that. I like to keep it like that as much as possible.
There's a laugh.
But yeah, I obviously, you guys were here like an hour before because I made a slight error. And you know, when you upload something to your main feed that's meant to be like close friends.
Close friends, yes.
I didn't even know I could do that, to be fair, but I did. And it was like, let me tell you how much that turns me inside out for like people to see anything private about me, and like a relationship is basically what it is. Like for anyone to see that part of me like fills me with dread. Sounds like it's a bad thing, but only because I associate social media and relationships in a bad way. Like I'm almost like nothing good can come from
sharing something private.
Yeah, like why? I don't know. Maybe I've learned. Maybe it's something historic. Yeah, I think with relationships, I've just never thought it's a good idea to share them. Because I don't.
Does it bother you when your private life does seep into the public eye?
Yeah, it does. It does, and you kind of go, right, how do I control this? So it's always about control with me. Like I just like to keep things separate. That's kind of what I want. And I think my job as well, like it's a bit of a unique situation, isn't it? Where you work, the target audience really, or the majority of our audience is male. So I don't know, maybe like if I had more of a female following, I might be more tempted to show that part of me. But to be honest, I don't think it would be. I think it's just something that I've adopted as I've become a little bit more in the public eye. And it's weird, like when you start to generate articles, and it could be about something completely meaningless.
We're talking headlines here.
Yeah, that was weird to me. That started happening more like after the World Cup. And I was like, wow, like I'm generating articles. Like, do I need to be a bit more careful and things like that? I don't believe anything I do is wrong, but does it kind of waver into your private life a bit more? I don't know. But yeah, like relationships and stuff like that, that's something I do like to keep completely separate. But recently that then started spilling in, and I've had a situation where like I'd been on a date and someone in the pub had called the papers. And that became,
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and then that became a headline, and then so all of a sudden something that you're not sure about what it is yet either, you're just getting to know somebody, and it's a bit awkward, like trying to get to know someone where all you can do is be in a house or be somewhere completely private. I don't know many places that exist for you to kind of do that. So that becomes a headline, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck me, like I'm gonna now have to, I don't know, like people are asking questions about it and I don't have the answers yet because it's so early days. Yeah, I don't even know.
As someone in the public eye, have you found that side of dating quite hard? Because I've got a lot of incredible friends who are all single, all female, total like power women bosses, and there seems to be a trending theme. Is that something that you found tricky in the position you're in?
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons for my job. I'm the same, by the way. I have so many friends in the industry that are unbelievable women, and we're all around the same age group. And I think for me, I probably actively put my career first, and what I mean by that is I would work all hours of the day, and I wanted to be there because I was obsessed, like I loved it. But it does mean that you just don't have space in your mind to focus on something else.
Yeah.
Whereas like somebody else might have met someone in the pub and then they've got all the time in the world to explore that. Whereas I'm off to Burnley and I'm off to here and I'm like, go down
all
to
of
Southampton.
These really
like, yeah,
exotic
exactly.
locations
like,
to stand on the side of
I'm
a
going to Blackpool for the darts sometimes.
In the rain.
Like, yeah, exactly. So but I wanted that, you know, I wanted to do that. So therefore, the relationships in my life, let's say, I would never have considered them as anything serious.
Yeah.
And then after a while, like that is a part of your life that if you don't have someone to share it all with, you get sad. Yeah, you get sad, you get lonely, you approach or you attract the wrong kind of attention, things like that. And I just got bored of that. I didn't want to do that.